Hello and welcome everyone. This is the last weekend of the Collegiate Chess League Fall 2025 season. My name is Joe and I am the commissioner of the league. We have two matches to share with you all today, starting with the Division II semifinals between University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and Prague University. This is an international affair. We've got US versus Czech Republic. These two teams are guaranteed to play again tomorrow, as well as they are semifinalists, which means the winner will move on to the Division II finals, and the loser will still play in the third place match. So I'm very excited to share with you all these games, which are about to begin. And yeah, I'm excited to also be watching the Division I finale between UT Dallas and St. Louis University, which is going to be right up after this match. So let us know in the chat who you think is going to win. I've already filled out all of my prediction brackets. Division I, I have SLU beating Dallas in the finals. So we will see if they're able to defend their championship title, or if UT Dallas will be getting their championship for the first time in their season history. Hello to Azure, Chuck, Chelato. Good to see you all tuning in and being here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm trying to find the games right now to share with you all, so give me a second. I dressed up today. It's a big day. This is like my Super Bowl, basically. Hello, senior citizen. How are you? I'm doing well as well. Can you make it on the... I don't know what the poly market is. But we did have a prediction bracket challenge, and you can win some free chess.com diamond memberships. We put 6 months as a prize for each division, and there are 25 divisions, so that's quite a lot, actually. Bear with me with just a moment, you guys. We're looking for these games. This is the first time this season that we're watching a lower division match. And when I say lower division, I just mean any division that's not Division 1. So right now, Mizzou is playing against SRM IST for third place in Division 1, but we're not watching that match because Mizzou is, I believe, missing a player who is competing over the board at this time. There's also apparently the U.S. Women's College Championship going on right now. So shout out to that event being hosted by the Mizzou coach, Christian Carilla, being held online. So that's very exciting. The semifinals should already be underway, but I'm just not seeing the games. So please bear with me while I search and try to get those ready to go for you guys. What is a widow's peak? What makes you ask that? I believe that's what I have, if that's what you're asking. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the chessboards. So let me show you what I see here. Voila, we've got chess. Let's go. All right. So we have quite a few players to familiarize ourselves with. First and foremost, we've got Nguyen Van, who is the #1 board from Prague, up against Krishna, who is the #4 board. So first round, we always have the biggest mismatch. And looks like Krishna's down a bit on time. As well as down a pawn. So tough position for white. They have a passed pawn though, so that could be put to use at some point. Let's take a look at this Kai Shaw game. Kai Shaw, this is the team captain from Illinois. Kai is also on a road trip currently and is playing from their phone, which normally isn't allowed on a fair play call, but they still have a 2-camera setup. But looks like they're completely losing now after queen to e4, threatening checkmate in one single move. And there is absolutely nothing that Kai can do, unfortunately, from their phone or from any legal moves on this position. I guess the queen can run, right? And now the king can move. Okay, hold on. Check. Queen g2 check. Forces king e1, only legal move. And now the rook can join in on the fun. And it does so. Here and now, okay, bishop check and queen takes his mate. So Jan Vaikuk, not sure if I'm saying that right, but they get the first point of the match. And we've got some other games here. Dev Shah, this is the board #1 from Illinois, playing up against Richard, apparently. All right, see you, senior citizen. Shout out to Speed Chess. Thank you for tuning in. Good to see you. So Dev Shah not doing a good job here with the black pieces. Richard is doing well here. So let me quickly swap out these players real quick. Okay, so this was actually a blunder from Richard. Could have apparently played e6 was a move, or it also liked bishop back to d7. Or perhaps forward to d7. Instead, we see this move g4, which is pretty crazy, which allows for bishop to c8, which Dev finds. And yeah, White's in major time pressure here, less than 30 seconds. There is 2-second increment. There's brackets that are uploaded on the events page, actually. So let me pull that up for you guys and share the link in the chat. You should be able to find all of the info there. All right, so Dev Shah has really turned this around. I think White missed their opportunity when they played g4. Now they're in 10 seconds, which is not a lot of time. And here we go. Big fork there. Queen takes pawn, but this pawn is falling. This king might be falling. If you lift the rook, you're getting back rank checked by rook a1, which is pretty brutal. So White is abandoning hope of the rook. Now the king is putting on its tennis shoes, and we might see this rook come to a2 now, giving up the knight, but this should be some sort of checkmate. Yeah, we're going to have a ladder mate here. Queen here is a beautiful main one there. So Dev Shah really turning things around there, getting Illinois on the board. And here we've got a time scramble. Both players less than 15 seconds. It's a knight versus bishop. Should be a draw. I want to take us to this game here. It looks like we just blundered a mate. Yeah, there was nothing black could have done here. So it was equal until rook h4 from Krishna. So that could have been a huge chance for Illinois' board 4 to get a draw against the top board from Prague, but Nguyen pulls through and gets that knight and rook checkmate. Here we have the bishop holding on to the pawn, but the knight is going to fork the bishop, and it's going to win this pawn, but this bishop should be able to catch this pawn whenever it decides to push. So black is going to try their best to blockade the pawn with the knight. So now the pawn can push, but meanwhile this king is running over, and there's no way this pawn is going to get through and block the bishop at the same time. So this is going to end up in a draw. This is going to be the last match of the round, which means that Prague is going to have a 1-point lead, assuming no one flags or blunders in this game. So Illinois off to a 1-point deficit. We see this trade, and now we have the king and pawn in game, but the king is going to be blockading this pawn. So there you have it. Draw by repetition between Jacob and Eric. That is the top board from Illinois. So that's a good result for Prague. They're going to enjoy their 1-point lead going into round 2. Is there another season this year? So the season will end tomorrow after the finals for all the lower divisions. However, there will be another season this school year, not this calendar year, if that makes sense. So In the springtime, we will have the 2026 spring season that will start in February. So there will be another season next semester. So every school year, we do 2 seasons, one in the fall, one in the spring. So this is the last season of 2025, but there will be another one early 2026. Registration will be opening at least in January. There's also going to be Pan Ams, which is always fun. If you're in North America and you want to go to Chicago in January to compete, it'll be the first weekend. But we're back with action. Round 2 underway. Here we see perhaps an early lead for White. Nguyen at 29.65. Definitely the strongest player here. So the Prague team looks like they're the favorites on paper. Tough to beat a 2900. And yeah, Nguyen finding this nice tactic, grabbing a pawn there. Black castles, because if they take, there's bishop to a4, pinning the queen to that king. So black gets the king to safety, but the damage is done. There is a missing pawn on the board. The b pawn. Put up the missing signposters, but I don't think black's going to find it back. But all they can do is try to fight back, claw their way back. They've got the rook defending the c pawn. This bishop in the corner could become a sniper later on. But black, if they want to try to hold on to this c pawn, which is under threat right now, they might consider a pawn push, like d5. But white can simply just play e5, kick the knight out. The bishops just open up, and this bishop is going to be locked out of the game. So we don't see this pawn push for now. We see the queen stepping back also on the c file. We could see the knight hop in, but that knight would be unprotected and probably just have to come back. So white might find a new way to put more pressure on this pawn. Instead, just a calm move here, h3, a flight square. What was the opening of this position? That's a great question. This was a French defense, apparently. St. George defense? Hold on, did it transpose? It's saying that it transposed into a French. So, king's pawn, I mean, this is not really an orthodox opening from black, to say the least. Kai Shah is playing from their phone. Not that that necessarily changes anything. I would argue this could be more of like an Alpin sort of setup with c5 and c3. A nice c3 Sicilian Alpin, but anyways, nice tactic from white to gain an initial advantage, and we see it's actually white that pushes d5. And now this knight combo with the bishop and the queen just gaining that c pawn. So it's a 2-pawn advantage now for white, and life is pretty good for Nguyen, who's looking to win for the second time in a row. And here we see another tactic. Wow. Knight takes. And the point is that the bishop is hanging, and if the bishop trades, then the knight returns. So that's a 3-pawn advantage now for Nguyen. Yeah, no, this is a dream for white to be up so many pawns. And look at those pawns go, corralled by both the knights here. So, yeah, life is good. Life is good here for the top board from Prague. Let's take a look at some of the other boards. Here we see Jan up against Krishna, and Jan is doing well with the white pieces here. King's on opposite sides of the board. I mean, this king, I guess, hasn't castled. We see a rook lift to the g file. Otherwise, the center is fairly close. We've got a connect 4 from black here, but white perhaps trying to open things up against this black king on the queen side, pushing b3, just pointing at this head of the pawn chain here for black. And yeah, I guess white just has a bit more space in the center. This e5 pawn invading black's half of the board. Well-placed knights, both bishops in the center. Black, meanwhile, are they ready to open things up on the king side? There's a lot of pressure on g6. Here we see the black king step up, maybe allowing for the rooks to slide across, but otherwise a relatively docile move, just sort of waiting to see what white does, which might not be a good recipe. So white can choose to take. Black has two ways to take back, either from the center or towards the center, and white wants to open things up even further. So right now there's two attackers on this pawn, two defenders, but one of the defenders is under threat right now with this last move, a4, trying to undermine part of the base of this black pawn chain. So very solid move here. White's guaranteed to get something in return for this. So if black concedes here, I mean, probably will take this pawn first with a tempo and then snag the b pawn. So taking here is probably out of the question. Taking here, and similar story, we can take back this way first and open up the b file. This is a direct path towards that black king. And if you don't take, let's say you allow white to take, the queen takes here, and again we see lines opening up against the black king. So now the last option is to push this pawn. If we push, then maybe that keeps things close for now, but white again can still take on c4 as the job is done, distracting the b pawn from defending the c pawn. And we can see Krishna's going through all these options here and finally decides to take on a4 after burning quite a significant amount of time on the clock. Under a minute now is Krishna. And yes, we do see white is crashing through here. Open b file, and wow, just d5. So leaving both of these pawns up for grabs. This pawn push is a discovery on the queen. This is a beautiful move, attacking the knight. So this should be winning material now for white. And the best move is actually just d6 or even rook b1, like not even taking this knight. Actually, we're pinned, so I forgot about this. This block is a nice move here from black, actually, and also trying to hold on to that a pawn. So, okay. Krishna is putting up some resistance here, which is nice. And now Jan is at 2.5 minutes trying to find a breakthrough here. Black's position definitely very fragile right now. Okay, d6 is found. And yeah, Kai already lost to Nguyen, so Nguyen is a perfect 2 for 2 right now. And taking down the Illinois captain on their way. So now Prague has advanced their lead to 2 points. d6 check, king steps back. And again, the pawn is pinned. It's true. This queen, we had to step aside from the knight capture. We find rook b1, hitting the queen. Rook b5 now. This is a pinned piece. Yes, beautiful maneuver here. Had the queen gone to a6, then the bishop could take the knight immediately, right away. So less than 15 seconds now for Krishna. This should be losing quite soon. Less than 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3. I mean, there's just no move. They're going to flag. Okay, the king steps aside, but now bishop takes, queen steps up, rook hits the queen again. Yeah, takes, and we see Krishna had had enough and finds the resign button. That leaves us with 2 games remaining. Here we see Richard is bringing the heat So, yeah, I mean, Prague looks like they're absolutely dominant right now. They look like they are in good shape. They want to go to the finals tomorrow and beat whoever's in their path. So, yeah, so far they're looking great. Illinois, this is just the first half of the match. We might not even see a round 4 if things continue. I mean, right now we've got Richard up over a minute and a half against Eric, and down a piece as well as Eric. We see both rooks on the second rank, bishop now, all piling up on this F pawn, and we see resignation there. So Richard getting their first win on the board, and Prague is running away with it right now. We do have one last game here, and this is looking a little bit more even. Black does have a farther advanced outside pawn, and we see probably a better king position here for Black and a better rook position for Black. However, looks like White's going to be able to snag this outside pawn. So all things considered, White is actually going to be up the outside pass pawn. And now both players here under a minute, getting down to around 30 seconds each. White's going to try to push this for a win. However, this should be a draw with perfect play. It looks like Black's rook is behind the pass pawn. And this rook is going to have a difficult time trying to get out of the pawn's way to promote. This king also is going to have a tough time leaving the g-pawn. However, this pawn can push, so White will be making progress here. This pawn is going to try its best to get up as close as possible to that promotion square. And then this king can never step away from the shelter of these pawns. So we see the king stepping up. We can get checked back. Now, you don't want to take this pawn. This pawn was left hanging, but on purpose, because any rook move, and White will be promoting next. So the black rook must stay tethered to the a file. And now White's pushing, trying to disturb this king. So the king only has a few safe squares, and this king is already taking one away. Now, the king can get checked, and does get checked. Don't go here. That's a great way to lose the game, actually. That would be a reversal. So black's going to continue checking, I believe, but maybe this king starts getting closer to the pawn. But then you can keep checking this way, maybe. Okay, capturing here is interesting. Inserting this first. Now the king is trying to make its way to the pawn. 30 seconds for both sides. Extra pawn for White. King is exposed. White's pushing, making a second outside pass pawn. Here's a check. Now this rook can't stray too far away from the a file, so expect the rook to return. Right now, rook a1. Check. Wow. So the king cannot take because now that allows the rook check and the promotion. So the king goes here, and now this king is trying to see if maybe they can snag the f pawn. But rook f1. Oh, not allowed. So the king can take this, no? What am I missing? I didn't understand that. They draw by repetition. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't try just taking that pawn. Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, apparently it's still a draw. I thought they could have tried it maybe, but still a draw. Even up 2 pawns. So unfortunate, but Dev Shah and Jacob get half points for their teams. So Dev Shah is doing well for Illinois. Jacob improves to 1 out of 2. So right now it is a 4-point lead for Prague, and if they get 2.5 more points, they actually win with a round to spare. So This is a very big round for Illinois, and here we go. Game's underway. Can Illinois even bring it back? Can they make it close? If they sweep this round 4-zip, they will tie the match 6-6 going into the fourth round. But even that seems unlikely. So, yeah. 2.5 points left for Prague to win. And right now it's Nguyen versus Devshah. These are the top two boards. In terms of points, I mean, Jan, I guess, from Prague also is 2 out of 2. So strong start for the top two boards from Prague. Perfect so far for them. And their bottom two boards are at 1 out of 2 each against the top two boards from Illinois. So Illinois struggling on all fronts. Dev right now is their best shot. 27-65. He's got the black pieces now against Nguyen. Nguyen with white, though, is spending a significant amount of time here out of the opening. Both players have a completely symmetrical kingside half of the board. Both sides fianchettoed. All the differences are on the queen side. So both players have pushed up their c-pawns. We see a trade now. C takes d5. Neither e nor d pawns have been pushed for white. We see a knight trade offered. Typically, you're advised against this trade if you're white, just inviting the queen into the center. But sometimes there's tactical reasons why you would make that. We see d4 being pushed, supported by the knight and the queen. And if knight takes knight, then the pawn will be supported again by a pawn, even though this would open up the queen to attack in the center as well. It's already attacked by 2 pieces, a pawn and the fianchettoed bishop. But white decides they need to start contributing into this center. But it's possible maybe black could strand white with an isolated pawn. If we take and we take, and then they take and we take, that's an isolated c pawn right there. So we'll keep an eye on this game. These are the two heavy hitters from both sides. Let's take a look at Jan, who is also a perfect 2 out of 2 for Prague, up against 2700 Eric Zhang. Looking for a dark square bishop trade here is Jan. Jan's got doubled pawns on the c file. White's just threatening to take this bishop and damage this black king's pawn structure. So either this bishop's going to have to come back or it's going to have to get supported by the queen. You don't want to go to d8 because you're allowing this capture. So black decides to simply trade here. Knight takes now, putting some pressure on this king. Now there's a world where we can take on f7, which is very annoying. If king takes, funnily enough, that's actually mate in 1, but obviously there's rook and queen takes, but you don't want to take with the queen because bishop takes will pin the queen to the king. So that leaves black with really just one choice of rook takes, which still allows some tactics potentially. Black just plays h6 and says, I dare you, please. You're welcomed, invited even. And that is the best move for white, is to take on f7. So black says, I'm going to call your bluff. You're not going to do it. And if you do, I invite it because I don't think it's going to be worth it. But let's see if Jan goes for it. This is, according to the engine, the best move. Knight takes f7 tactic here, followed by rook takes, and then bishop takes. So you are getting at least 2 pawns for the minor piece, plus in exchange, which that is 4 points of value of material, and the knight is only worth 3. So even just by material standards, it's worth it for white. Now, there is a debate that sometimes, and perhaps even most of the time actually, 2 minor pieces are more valuable than a rook. So yes, white did give up a knight and a bishop for a rook, but they also got 2 pawns out of it. And now it looks like we have a connected passed pawn here in the center of the board. So black is going to have to put these minor pieces to use. Now, if we push this c4 pawn, trying to hold on to the d pawn, we could see the bishop come out and put more pressure on that c pawn, which is not that easy to defend. So black's counterplay, their justification of giving up the material, is that they're hoping to get it back with the use of their minor pieces. So if they could snag even just this d pawn, these isolated c pawns are not very impressive. And that's kind of what Eric is going off of here. Now, white is still favored by pushing this d pawn, which they find. So they knew that there was no defending the c pawn, no point in pushing it, and so they just put the pawn away from the attack of queen and bishop. Now this does open up for this bishop on the long diagonal, which is obviously pretty valuable. Any queen move to the g file is going to threaten mate. But this is also a very powerful pawn. We could see the queen and rook on the e file just combine together to infiltrate black's camp. So yeah, the bishop's stepping here, trying to make sure that there's some protection over this d pawn push. But we'll see if white can continue and push that pawn forward. Now let's take a look at Jacob here versus Kai. Kai, team captain, as I'd mentioned, on a road trip, but is getting completely crushed by these pieces. Look at this. Yeah, bishop over, attacking the pawn. King steps up defending, but we could see this rook check. I mean, it's up 2 minor pieces for black. So Kai is probably going to resign soon here. And I mean, that's going to bring Prague to 7 points. So Prague is looking like a well-oiled machine right now. There's one check. King steps back, but that's going to abandon the g pawn. We also have this knight check, which is annoying, but saved for later. So Jacob is getting their 2nd point out of 3 games. Well done from Jacob. Board 4 from Prague. And yeah, this match might be put away right here, right now, which will leave us with a significant break before the Division 1 finals, which is going to be after this match. That will start in about 50 minutes from now is the expected schedule. So bear with us, stay tuned. Who would have expected Prague to have been so decisively strong here, convincingly? Okay, so what's going on in this game? Both players just over a minute. Richard with the black pieces. The queen is under fire right now. It is hit. Defended backwards by the knight and by the queen. So the queen decides to pack her things and go to the e file, which is kind of an interesting place to reside because you have this knight discovery potentially, but keep an eye on this rook because it is completely hanging out unprotected. So black perhaps just pinning this bishop. Hello, Matthias Chess, and what's up, Papega from New Jersey? There was forced mate? In which game? There was a mate that we saw played out on one of the previous rounds, where the queen and bishop were in a battery on the long diagonal. Okay, so here's another thought process. There's this knight move. Whoa, yeah, white takes here. But that was not a good move. This is given the double question mark. And why might that be? Well, oh, there's knight takes here. Very strong. Forking this, and we could see knight takes, queen takes, queen takes, queen takes, rook takes, threatening checkmate. Also, yeah, so we're not allowed to take back right away. The knight saves itself first and defends the bishop and hits the queen. And only then will we take back here, but perhaps this queen can put pressure on the knight, which it does. And this is a problem, because if the queen takes the knight, then your knight will fall as well. So, while our queen is still defending the knight, we're trying to throw a wrench into this system here by playing f3, trying to get this queen out of the knight's hair. Now, the knight can still be pressured by a move like queen to f5, but here we see queen defending the knight, king stepping up to this newly created spot on f2, but now the knight is able to leave. But maybe we can pin the knight. We attack the queen. Rook takes, as defended by the knight, but now there's knight takes defending the queen. But now the knight can run away, and we have a rook deficit. No, it's an exchange deficit. But yeah, still 2-point advantage. Ooh, setting up a tactic here, but black does not fall for it. Both sides now in some severe time pressure. Can Richard hold on to this? This would be huge for the Prague team. Take care, senior citizen. Thank you for being here. Always a pleasure. Okay, knight forking the minor pieces, getting a trade, but this is going to potentially help white get 2 passed pawns here in the center. No, just 1 connected passed pawn, but this king, an absolute rock in the position for black, barricading the dark squares. White only left with a light squared bishop, unable to kick this king out of there. And look at these dark squared pieces. Pawn set up, the king in the center, and this rook was on c7. But yeah, the bishop moves, this rook can infiltrate white's camp, and it does so. White's trying to go after the f-pawn, but the f-pawn is pushed to safety. We see the bishop coming back here, but this h-pawn or the a-pawn can be left for taking. Yes, we see the a-pawn dropping with check. This king trying to help this pawn, but black's going to win this one. So, okay, and we do have a draw actually between Dev and Nguyen. So Dev improves to 2. Nguyen goes to 2.5, and this game is over. We see Richard improving to 2 points as well. And that's actually going to be the match, you guys. Prague has hit their points, 8.5 to win. So Illinois, they're still going to play tomorrow, but they will be playing the 3rd place match, and Prague, they move on to the Division II finals to be played tomorrow at the same time. So be sure to tune in for that. We may or may not be covering it on the broadcast, but congratulations to Prague. Great match. I mean, with a round to spare, no less. We do have this game left though, Eric versus Jan. Both sides less than 15 seconds. It is a pawn advantage for white, but white could get mated in 1 if they push the king up. So, and it's very difficult to get this queen out of there. If you play queen to g3, for example, you're still getting mated in 1. So this is going to be a draw. They draw by repetition. Jan improves to 2.5, and we have Eric getting to 1 point, but it is over here, 9-3, the final score. So congratulations to Prague once again. Let me check who they could potentially be playing against. So right now, the other semifinal match in Division 2 is Sri Ram College of Commerce from India and Far Eastern University, I believe from the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken. So let me take a quick break. We will have a player interview. So please stick around. I'll be right back. Let us know if you have any questions for the Prague team in the chat. All right, see you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We just watched a Division II semifinals match between University of Illinois and Prague University. We just watched Prague destroy Illinois by a score of 9-3 with an entire round to spare, led by their number one board here that I'm joined with. Nguyen, Tai Dai Van. Nguyen, welcome, and how are you feeling right now?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm feeling great because last season actually we also played in the Collegiate Chess League, and in the top division we didn't do so well. I think we lost all the matches. So this year to be doing so well with a similar team, actually we got some new players who are very strong as well. We managed to win a lot of matches this year, and hopefully we can win one more.
Yeah, you have one more matchup tomorrow, and I believe your potential opponents are actually still playing currently right now. SRCC from India and Far Eastern University, I believe, from the Philippines. Have you had a chance to look at their matches at all? Do you have a preference for who you'll face up against?
I had a brief look at their at the respective teams, but I don't really know the players very well. I'm not very familiar with their their strength and their play in general. So for me, whoever wins deserves the spot, and we will fight in the final.
Awesome. And you mentioned playing in the top division last season. We were actually going to watch the top division finals right after this match. So, do you know who your favorite is between SLU or UT Dallas?
That's a tough one, but usually I actually don't even know the current lineup of the teams anymore, but I would generally bet on Slew. But of course, in Blitz, it really depends on maybe one mouse slip or one blunder. So I'll be following the match briefly and see who wins.
And did you? I know you mentioned you lost every match last season, but did you have a personal game that you won against maybe like a really strong player? Was there a particular game that stood out to you last year?
To be honest, I don't really remember my Blitz games very well, so I can't point to a single win. I know that I've won a lot of games, and to be honest, in most of the games, or maybe in all of the games, I was the higher rated player, so I didn't feel like it was a big win as such. But yeah, again, I don't really remember Blitz games and not even online games, so I can't really point to one.
So my next question to you is, do you prefer playing in Division 1 or Division 2?
Well, we are currently fighting to get back to Division One, right? So obviously we want to fight for against the best teams, but last year we clearly were not strong enough or prepared well enough. So we'll try again next season, hopefully, if we get there.
You had mentioned that your team has new players. Did you guys do any recruiting, or do you think that there's just naturally a lot of strong players at your school?
Yeah, in general, our school is one of the good ones in the Czech Republic, and a lot of chess players from the best juniors and the best young chess players from the Czech Republic go there. So this year we have Richard Stalmach joining the team, and yeah, he's a valuable asset to the team. Obviously, he's part of the national team as well.
And I think there's a couple other schools from the Czech Republic that are competing. Do you think that maybe there could be a Czech Republic University Championship to be organized?
I'm not sure if it even already exists, so I wouldn't. I'm not quite sure what the status right now, but I think we're clearly the strongest university. So if it ever happens, we would certainly be the big favorites, and we would probably win the tournament.
Now, I know there's the the FIDE World Cup that is going on right now. Are you following along, and do you have a favorite to win?
Yes, I did follow. I was part of it until I got knocked out, and obviously I will root for the guy who beat me. So in the top four, there's Yakuboev, Nodirbek, who's yeah, still fighting. So I'll root for him because he knocked me out in round three.
That's awesome. Okay, and your team, I don't think we've had on broadcast so far this season, but maybe you have some teammates or some fans tuning in. Would you have any words for them?
Well, first of all, who, like everyone who's tuning in and watching, it's really cool because the more widespread chess is, the more opportunities as players we get. So thanks for tuning in today, and hopefully you'll come tomorrow for the final, which will be even more exciting.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nguyen. I really appreciate your time and your effort in playing. And congratulations again on your win. You had 2.5 out of 3 points, and to win with a round to spare is obviously very nice. And you guys have not finished the job yet. You have one more match tomorrow. It's the big one, it's the finals. So I'll let you get some rest, and best of luck to you and your team. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, everyone. That was Nguyen Van. Thank you, everyone, for watching this match. We will have the Division One finals right after this. So in about 30 minutes, I'll see if we can try to get that match started a little earlier. But obviously, this match ended sooner than expected because Prague was so strong. led by their board number one that we just watched there. So a very convincing win for them, 9-3. Maybe I could pull up some of the other games from the other semifinal match while we wait. I'm not sure how much chess is left in that one. So stay tuned. We'll try to see if we can watch some other games, but in the meantime, we are waiting for the grand finale of this season, Division 1. I'll see you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Before we watch the Division One finals with Grandmaster Benjamin Bach between SLU and UT Dallas, I decided to watch the remainder of this third place match between SRM IST and Mizzou because we've got Aryan Tari playing. So why not just check that out, shall we? So yeah, I don't know what the exact score is right now, but I could try looking it up. We have Aryan Tari with the black pieces here up against Blitz King. So this might be the last round of their match, actually. So let me double check this. No, I think this is only round 2. It looks like Aryan Tari right now is 2 out of 2. So that's pretty good for him. But as soon as the Division 1 finals match starts, I will switch over to that match. I just figured we have about 13 minutes before that match starts, so why not just watch the rest of this out? So yeah, let me check on maybe Aryan's teammates here and see how they're doing. What's up, Bach? Good to see you, and hello to all the viewers. Hope you're all doing well. Glad to have you all here. Okay, so it looks like maybe Aryan Tari was late. Maybe they are in the 4th round. Let's see. So yes, chess missile here. Suresh Harsh is at 2 out of 3. Let's check in with his teammate Srihari L. Srihari L. Srihari L has 1 point out of 3. Not to be confused with Srihari LR. Let me check in with Isik. Let's see. Ooh, Isik is 3 out of 3. So that's pretty good. And let me check in with Manish. Manish has only played 2 games and has lost both. But maybe they have a oh, I'm not Bach. Yeah, normal ET. I have to update the stream titles. But we're watching the Division 1 third place while we're waiting, essentially. So we will have the Division 1 finals in like 10 minutes. It'll be pretty quick. I just figured we'd watch some Aryan Tari first while we can. Because why not, you know? And Aryan's looking like he's doing well on the clock, but he's losing this game right now, actually. But Black still has to convert this somehow. I mean, White does. In 5 seconds, it's not easy. In fact, they let their advantage slip already. So this is Blitz. It's 5 plus 2. There is some increment. Who am I missing? I haven't looked at Srihari LR. Oh, but that's who's playing Tari right now. And he's lost both of his games so far. So that is very interesting. Now, there is a potential that they've had some forfeit matches. So let me see. Okay, apparently it's 6-7 right now in favor of Mizzou. Okay, so Blitzking did get one from a forfeit, I believe, from Luca. And I think Manish got one as well, a forfeit from Aryan, perhaps. So this looks like it's the updated score. Let me see. This game's going to be a win for Aryan Tari. And then there's one other game. So Srihari LR resigns. So Aryan goes 3 out of 4. That gets Mizzou at 8 points, so they just need a draw to win. This is Isak, who's 3 out of 3 so far, but he's down to 1 second, and he's losing. Both sides, less than 10 seconds. 1 second. Isak played that with 0.6 seconds on the clock. Less than 10 seconds for Chess Missile, who is Harsh Suresh, trying to tie this up. I don't know if I saw Mihail's game or Luca's game. So this is a big point on the line here. 1 second for Isak. Oh, he's gonna flag. So Chess Missile, Harsh Suresh goes to 3. But I don't know about the other points, so looks like Mihail got one though. So maybe Mizzou wins. Yeah, Mizzou won. Mihail got a point. So wow. Yeah, Mizzou maybe had a couple players late, but they got the job done 9-7. Very close match in third place. So SRMIST, they get fourth. So yeah, congrats to Mizzou. They redeemed themselves from last week. They had a rough loss in 3 rounds to St. Louis University, 9-3. And now we will watch the Division 1 finals between UT Dallas and St. Louis University. SLU are the defending champs, but UT Dallas are the number 1 seed. They had a 6-0 start to the regular season, including wins over Mizzou and SLU. But they lost in the 7th week against Texas Tech, but they still clinched the first seed in the playoffs. And they beat SRM-IST last weekend by a score of 10-6. And now they're up against the defending champs SLU, who are the number 2 seed. If Dallas wins, it's going to be their first ever championship in the Collegiate Chess League. And if SLU wins, it'll be their 5th win out of 6 seasons or something like that. So the defending champs, they're going to be ready to defend their title. And I'm excited to be commentating with a previous champion and captain and player from St. Louis University, Benjamin Bach. So we should have that match starting in about 4 minutes. I will take a quick break to update the stream titles and the scoreboard so that there's no more confusion. But the players are currently in the Zoom call completing some fair play checks. And once the games get started, we will be joining you guys back. So stay tuned. We'll have a quick break, and I will be right back, joined by none other than Grandmaster Benjamin Bach. We've all been waiting for. So I'll see you guys then. Hello and welcome back, everyone. My name is Joe, and I'm joined by none other than Grandmaster Benjamin Bach, the captain, former captain, I should say, and former champion of St. Louis University chess team, who we were watching today, trying to defend their titles against the number one seed, UT Dallas. Ben, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm pretty excited for this matchup. I mean, they have a pretty big legacy to live up to, but I believe in them. I think they're the favorite against UTD.
Yeah, I actually filled out my prediction brackets last week, and I also put SLU as the winning team. Did you do that as well, Ben?
I wanted to do that, but I forgot about it. But I definitely would have SLU winning. Yeah.
Okay, well, we will see if SLU can carry my bracket to a win. We just watched Mizzou finish their third place match victory over SRM IST, and SLU beat that Mizzou team 9-3 with a round to spare just last week. So I think SLU's in pretty good shape. They should be having the same lineup, and UT Dallas, I think, might be changing their lineup. Actually, they beat SRM IST by a score of 10-6 last week, which is a greater score than Mizzou beat them. But I think Dallas is putting in their top board Gergely Cantor, who I think we didn't see play for some time. Actually, he's been busy at the FIDE World Cup, so I'm excited to see him competing again today. And it should be a tough matchup for SLU to defend their championship title.
Yeah, no, definitely. It won't be a walk in the park. I think UTD, they really stepped up their game. They made it to the final, so big congratulations to them. That's already an achievement in and of itself. But yeah, I think SLU should be the favorite. UTD, they have a very well-rounded team, though. They have like GMs around 2,500 on every board. But SLU, they take these championships very seriously. I know that VAR and Darius probably have been preparing the team. So I'm curious to see what the lineups will be.
Yeah, and the players are all joined our Zoom call. We have actually fair play checks being done right now. There's a two-camera requirement and also a screen share. And so you mentioned the players are taking this very seriously, but chess.com is also taking this very seriously with the fair play call requirement for not only Division One and for broadcast in playoffs, but also for Divisions Two and Three in the playoffs as well. So once the players have finished their checks, we will be watching the games. Will be starting, and we're actually going to start a prediction in the chat. So if you guys have some channel points that you want to put on the line, be sure to let us know who you think is going to win. And speaking of the chat, hello to everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and shout out to Carrie O'Line who sent a raid. I believe she was actually watching the UCSD team competing in the Collegiate Chess League playoffs. Let us know how UCSD did. I'm very curious to know.
Mhm. Yeah, let me know when the predictions are live because I used to stack up a lot of channel points that way, especially on the chess.com channel. But yeah, now we're not live on chess.com anymore. So I have less points in the other channels, but I'll definitely make sure to throw go all in.
All right. Well, I'm gonna start one in my chat. I'll see if I can start one with the chess.com community and the Collegiate Chess League ones as well. Um, but yeah, maybe I'll put a 10-minute prediction on this one. I just started it on my chat. Let me see if I can pull up the other ones. We have a question from DZ89 saying, do they play with Proctor? So the CCL players don't play with Proctor yet, but they might be changing that for future seasons. So, um, yeah, it's a good question. I know, Ben, you've played on Proctor before.
Yeah, no, I've played on Proctor as well. I don't think they play on Proctor in the CCL, but I'm not sure. But I don't think so. I think it's just a two-camera setup. Proctor is mainly used in, big prize events with a lot of players, let's say Title Tuesday, etc., because it's very scalable. But I think for these events, they just want to have the two-camera setup. But, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe if staff is here, they can let us know.
Well, I am staff and I am confirming the
Oh,
CCL players they're
yeah.
not using Proctor right now. But we might
hmm
we might change that requirement for future seasons. So we'll see.
hmm
Okay, but I do believe I've started a prediction also in the ChessCom community channel.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and let me see if I can start one in the CCL channel. Do you do a lot of predictions on your channel, Ben?
I just started one, but let me go all in on the CCL. Wait, how many points do I have? Yeah, I remember Jules used to bet against me, but that's just not a good strategy. Unless you want to lose all your points.
Well, maybe she's being generous. I've lost some channel points in some other broadcasts. I've been watching the Speed Chess Championship. Have you been following that?
Yes, yeah, no, it's been fun to follow.
Were you surprised with Lazovic beating Hans yesterday, or was that a prediction that you made?
Well, also there, I did not fill out a bracket. If you would ask me who would win, I would pick Hans, but I'm not shocked that Lazovic won. I mean, he is extremely good. I really thought that match was a coin flip, so that could really go either way. I mean, the other three semifinalists are pretty expected, I would say. It was kind of unexpected that Hikaru's match against Wesley really went down to the wire.
Yeah, that was a 1 point difference there, so that was very close. What's up, Asmoata? Good to see you. Shout out to Alex tuning in. She's been definitely tuning in. I've been seeing her moderate for the chess channel during Speed Chess Championship. Good to see you in the chat. We've got predictions on all four of our channels live right now. I just put 5,000 points on Slew for Benjamin's channel. I'm not really allowed to bet on my own channel because I have infinite points, but I'm also not allowed to bet on the CCL or the community channel because I'm the moderator that's got to pay out those predictions. So it won't let me otherwise. But yes, anyone else that wants to predict in Benjamin's chat, I've got my channel points on the line. I'm going to stay true to my prediction bracket, but I definitely think it'll be a close match. I think it might be the closest match we've seen so far in the playoffs. It's been a little lopsided.
Yeah, no, I really thought that Slew against Mizzou was going to be close, actually, both times in the regular season and in the playoffs, but Slew absolutely crushed them both times around. So I'm sure that Coach Kurila is not going to be happy about that. But I expect that, the coaches at Dallas, Mike Antipov and Julio Sedora, they definitely, did their best to get the players ready for the match. So I'm really curious to see what we're going to have today. But yeah, I do think that Slew should be the favorite.
Yeah, and I heard that the fair play checks have just completed, so the players are getting a rundown from our event coordinator, who will be starting their games as soon as we're all ready. So games should be starting any second now. I'm excited. This is literally the last match of Division One Collegiate Chess League, and the entire season that started all the way back in September has led to this moment. And then there's going to be a bit of a break. We have Thanksgiving coming up next week, and the players obviously will have a break. Some players even on break already. And then they've got like finals and stuff, and maybe teams are competing in Pan Ams in January, but then the season will be back. So we've got some time, but I see, Ben, the games have started. So I'm looking at Nicolosi Kacharava versus Grigeli Cantor, the number 1 seed from UT Dallas, and I want to keep an eye on Cantor for this matchup for sure.
Yeah, so Nicolosi, he's playing 1e4. He's pretty well prepared with the white pieces, so curious to see what he's going to do. Cantor plays very solid opening, but let's talk about the lineups real quick, Joe. We see that Slew came up with Gajik, Chopra, Kacharava, and Tianqi Wang. One player that is missing is Batsurn Dambasurn, which is a little bit surprising to me because he did great in the last match of the regular season. I believe he scored 4-4 against Mizzou. So I'm sure he has a good reason not to play. And then we see UTD. They have Contour, Samant, Parkov, and Petty. Strong jams on all boards. So I would say perhaps UTD, the slightly more well-rounded team, but St. Louis a little bit more top-heavy because St. Louis they have two jams on the first two strong jams on the first two boards, but they have an IM on the fourth board. That being said, Tianqi Wang is a really good blitz player, so it's gonna be a close one.
Yeah, Tianqi is also the Slew captain, also known as Steve, and we've seen him do very well, especially last week against Mizzou. I think he might have gone 2 out of 3, maybe 2.5. I'm not sure. Can't remember right now, but definitely can't underestimate the SLU captain, Steve. Obviously, Batsurin, very strong grandmaster for SLU, not playing today, but also didn't play last week and didn't end up costing the SLU team. So I think that SLU is very confident in their captain holding down the fort on board 4.
Yeah, no, he's been doing great. Yeah, he's been scoring plus scores against Mizzou. I mean, that's fantastic as a board 4. So yeah, we'll see how he's gonna do today. Yeah, very solid stuff here. One thing that stands out to me, Joe, if you don't mind moving to another game, is the game between Samant and Gajic, where Gajic played the Elaka, and I'm not sure if VAR approves of that.
VAR not approving the Alicante. Yeah, this knight getting tossed around very early in the game, ending up on b6. So definitely interesting position. This is 3,000 plus rated players. Victor Gajic, top board for St. Louis University. But I also want to give a shout out to, we've got a streamer in the chat, Melinda Varga, who is perhaps cheering for her fellow Hungarian player, Gergely Cantor on the Dallas team.
Yeah, Cantor, I believe he did like a couple years at Webster. I think like 2 years. But then he left, but now he's back at UTD. So yeah, curious to see how he's gonna do this time around. I think Webster. Actually, I met Owonder the other day at the St. Louis Chess Club. I asked him like, why are you guys not playing CCL? And Owonder was like, well, Liam doesn't require us to do so. So and they don't really want to. But yeah, Webster of course would also be a big player in the Collegiate Chess League.
Yeah, Webster has played before, making it all the way to the finals when they competed, but of course losing to their in-state, in-city rival, St. Louis University. And Webster hasn't joined back, but that could change. And I'll have to talk to a Wonders coach, Liam Lee, about it, who I believe Liam played in the Speed Chess Championship against Sakaro, also played in the FIDE World Cup, along with a Wonder, his student. Who has, by the way, been in the CCL before, but not with Webster, with his undergrad school, U Chicago, and is the only non-scholarship team to have ever won the Collegiate Chess League Championship back in season 3. So Wonder is no stranger to the CCL format.
Yeah, no, really impressive how well they did with U Chicago. All right, so let's see. The games are heating up. We're a couple minutes in now. Let's see. Is there anything? Okay, there's one game that also stands out to me. If we go to the game of Steve, because Steve, in his game, all of the pieces are still on the board, and he had a very interesting king walk. He decided not to castle, but instead play king d1, king c2, and apparently Steve feels that his king might be safer on the queen side, but I don't know. But one thing, Joe, we've discussed this before in like previous matches, that one thing that Steve always does really well is that he's up on time.
Yeah, he's playing fast. He's only spent 7 seconds from his starting time. There is 2-second increment, but this is definitely very impressive time management from the SLU captain up against Yer Parkov. So there is one last game that we haven't quite looked at yet. Aryan Chopra, the board 2 from SLU. And he's up against Raul Petty. So yeah, I mean, every board, it seems like it's just such a tight matchup.
Yeah, and absolutely. I feel like all of these games can really go either way. So let's see what we have in front of us here. So Rook G1 has just been played. We see that White has the 2 bishops, but Black has some activity in the center. And now White's trying to use that half-open G-file to perhaps start up some sort of attack. Bishop H6. I guess Rook E8 is expected here. I feel like Rahul needs to do something quickly. If he doesn't, that pawn on E5 gets very weak. And the White King on H2 might start feeling pretty airy as well.
Yeah, definitely a loose position for White's king. Black's king, you still have these pawns, and perhaps the bishop will be tucking back to f8 to try to help guard these dark square weaknesses right now that White's controlling. So once you can get that under control, the Black king is going to be feeling much more safer than the White king for sure.
Yep, absolutely. And Chopra also up almost a minute on the clock. Bishop f8, like you said, great idea. Bishop f6 perhaps as well, simply going after that pawn on e5. So I feel like Rahul needs to do something quickly. So let's see what he's gonna do.
And Rahul's less has a minute less on the clock than Aryan Chopra, so the Sloot players definitely seem to be um, playing fast. They're up on every single board on the clock. That's definitely probably part of their strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a good chance Vars talked about that with the players. He's like, guys, just stay solid, put pressure on the clock, and good things will happen. All right, so we see e6. Nice move by Rahul. And I think, as we discussed earlier, he felt like he had to do something, and so he's trying to break open the black king side over there. Now we might see Chopra going into the tank for a little bit.
Yeah, I love the activity here. E6 is a very sharp move, very straight to the point, and as you had mentioned, the e5 pawn could be a liability, a weakness, and so to be able to trade that off and at the same time luring the king out into the open, we could see the rook maybe going to f1, pinning that knight to the king now. Definitely a good decision here from Raoul to be active.
Yep, rook f1, nice move by white. Notice how important that knight is on d4. If the knight was not there, bishop e6 or queen e6 would have been made, but of course the knight can capture that piece. And now, if I was Chopra, I would just play king g8, I think. Just step out of the f-file and then reinforce the attack on the white queen.
Yeah, if we see the king go back, we could see white go in with a check on e6. We could see a trade there, but right now, black has the queen and bishop forked, but that knight obviously pinned on the f-file. So Chopra decides a different route, bringing the queen up to d6.
Seems pretty risky to me, staying in the pin. Now, maybe a move like c3 could be really dangerous as you attack the knight, and if the knight were to move, then queen c4 could be a pretty deadly check. So I wonder what Chopra has in mind there.
Yeah, I guess the knight would have to retreat to e6 to try to block that diagonal.
Mm-hmm. Right. But yeah. Okay, let's see what Rahul's gonna do. He's down to a minute. Chopra still has 2 on his clock, so Chopra definitely playing the clock. It queen b7.
Mm.
That seems like a miss to me. Now, perhaps just go king g8. Step out of the pin on the 7 rank and on the f-file.
I want to
You have
bring
to
our
get out of there.
attention to Slew's top board, Victor Gajic, who has a lot of time left on his clock. His opponent only down to 11 seconds. That's going to be tough to play with.
Wow, and look at this. Saman just sacrificed a piece, opening up the black king. And now he does not take the rook. He goes h6. He continues with his attack. But it's really tricky because black does not have a whole lot of good squares for his bishop on g7. But Victor, he has an interesting strategy. He plays these openings, which are quite risky, but he somehow finds a way to make it work. Like he makes his opponent spend time. He makes the position very complicated, and very often he just emerges victorious in the complications.
Wow, and the best move here is rook takes c2, just going all in on the c file. First taking on c3 and following through. That's kind of a crazy idea. Do you think Victor's going to find it with this minute on the clock?
I think so. I mean, like you said, he has the time to figure it out, but it's very tough. Yeah. So also, oh well, he doesn't take. Okay, now white should take on c3. Okay, okay, queen d3, queen g3. By the way, is a big threat. So king h8 was played. I still like Gajic's chances because of the time advantage here.
Yeah, this is so tough to play as Samant with just 13 seconds on the clock. There is the increment, but it's a tricky position.
By the way, just wanted to point out that we have draws on the bottom 2 boards, and Chopra actually made a massive blunder on board number 2, because now Rahul can just trade into a winning king and pawn in game. He can just trade everything, and then I think g5, fixing those 2 pawns on the king side, making them worthless. And apparently it's winning for but not easy at all for Rahul to figure it out. Let's see if he can do it. Okay, he's
Yeah,
going down that
yeah.
line, g5.
He finds g5.
G Okay, but how is this winning? Because black is going to go h6 or h5. Oh, wow. The computer's saying d4 takes and c4. Oh, he misses. He goes c4 right away. Now h6 or h5 is a draw, and it's pretty logical. So I think Chopper will find it. You have to play h6 or h5. He's going to play it.
Okay, so maybe we take a look then at Gajik's game, actually, who now he's down in time pressure. Both sides less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, all right. So anything can happen in that game. Both sides less than 10 seconds. The white king, a little bit airy over there in b1. Of course, the black king also not super safe. So let's see. C5,
Oh,
knight
long
c4, but
c5.
the b6, that b pawn can be pretty dangerous.
I'm liking Samai here, and Victor now less than 5 seconds. 2
Oh,
seconds.
knight d3, that's a fork. And knight b4, but is a massive threat. Okay, white sees it, but he's gonna lose one of the rooks here. But those pawns on the queen side are still very strong.
Yeah, I mean, okay, trading the queens off. So you're down a
I
knight, but those past pawns.
Right, I think you simply cannot stop the pawns. And white can perhaps sacrifice the rook as well, followed by c6. White's gonna get a new queen.
Oh, and Chopra just choked.
Yeah. And those pawns are gonna be his downfall as white gets a new queen. Queen f8 would have been GG on the spot, by the way. So Saman gets a win, and Chopra blundered in the pawn endgame as well, which was actually a draw. It was a draw. Wow.
So those are huge points for UT Dallas. That is the difference maker right now. Dallas a 3-1 lead right now after one round.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty big lead. I mean, it's definitely not insurmountable, but definitely a nice start for them. So let's see how Slu will try to bounce back. But yeah, that game between that Gaji game made all the differences. He easily also could have won that one.
Yeah, we saw the blunder from Chopra. He pushed his G pawn. He needed to play king back to f7, instead pushing, allowing king e4, and this was winning now for white, just promoting first. So definitely close game, but we've got round 2 underway now.
Yeah, really surprising mistake by Chopra. He still had some time on the clock, but okay, things can happen. And we're off to round number 2. So we see Gajic opening up with the white pieces. He plays 1e4 and Rahul playing the Sicilian. Then on board, yeah, I'm just taking a quick look around the horn. On board number 2, I see Chopra playing a close Sicilian with white against Samand. And then Nicolosi is, Parkov's playing the English against Nicolosi on board number 3. And Steve's game is about to get underway very soon. So, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is the first time in a very long time that Slu is actually behind in a match in the playoffs. So it'll be really interesting to see how they will deal with that.
Yeah, this is definitely the toughest matchup for Slu this entire season. Obviously, they've played before earlier, and Dallas did win that match. So Slu, they've got some serious adversity to face, and this is literally the last match of the entire season. So it'll be very interesting to see if they're able to come back. It is still just round 2, so they have plenty of chess left in this match, but they really don't want Dallas to run away with it and build onto that lead. Slu's got to answer back quickly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because what you see in some of these matches is that a team wins the first round 3-1, and then they win the second round 3-1. And then before you know it, the match is almost over. If a team gets like a 6-2 lead, I've almost never seen a team coming back. So I think it's really important, like you said, for Slu to come back as quickly as possible. They don't necessarily need to level up the score right now, but even if they could cut into that lead and let's say win this round by 1 point, I think that would already be good.
Definitely. And if you're Dallas, you want to just go full steam ahead. You want to lay down the hammer and build as much lead as you can, while Slu might still be waking up here in the early first half of this match. And I think Dallas is really looking at their top board, Gergely Cantor, against Steve right now. Cantor has the white pieces, and Steve, who we've been saying is so well on the clock, he's spent a lot of time here just in the opening moves.
Yeah, what happened there? So I see Cantor spending a minute on his first move and Steve doing the same thing. What I can imagine is that maybe Cantor was away and Steve wanted to return the favor or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Also, his opening choice seems a little bit risky to me. And I'm not sure if Coach Varakobian approves of it. I think he does not. I think he wants to see solid chess from Steve.
I think there might be maybe some confusion with the board order, and maybe as the team captain board one, maybe that's what caused, just a hunch. But apparently nobody's brought up any issues. So I think we're just gonna stick with these pairings and these board orders. But yeah, it's something that I've noticed as well. I think usually the board one plays board four in the first round. This is maybe a slightly different order because I think Dallas might have submitted differently than the rating, so that might be the source of confusion.
Okay, right. Okay, so let's see. Oh, e5. Nice move by Steve, striking in the center. At least this opening is really throwing counter off. And I think the idea is that in case white takes, then bishop e4 check will be pretty unpleasant to meet. You don't really want to go knight e2 and pin yourself. So really love this move by Steve, and he's up on time. So his original opening is paying off.
Yeah, and he's up on time, and he's looking good. So that'll be a very valuable game for both teams. We see the trade in the center, and that pawn is very protected. So Steve is gonna have to come up with an alternative way here to get some counterplay. He brings his bishop out with a check, maybe inducing some sort of block, maybe going to take on a3 next. Do you think Steve gives up the bishop for the knight to damage the pawns?
Well, the first question is, how is Kantor going to block? I think Kantor should play pawn to c3. Then Steve can take on a3, but I don't think that's of too big of a concern to Kantor. He just recaptures. I mean, yes, his pawn structure will be damaged, but he will have the bishop pair. He has a nice pawn in the center. But it's more the question if like Steve is perhaps looking at knight takes c3, b takes c3, and bishop takes c3, sacrificing a piece and going for an attack against the white king. That being said, I think Kantor needs to move here. I think he just needs to go c3 because knight e2 looks a bit too passive, honestly. All right, c3 played, and wow, Steve just goes for it. Okay, now let's see. King takes or knight takes. Both are possible. I think this could be a nice round for Slew. Like, Steve is doing pretty well on board number 4. I feel like on board number 1, Gajik is doing pretty well against Rahul. In the middle, though, perhaps UTD is having some slight advantages.
Yeah, definitely too early to tell, but I think Chopra and Nicolosi, they definitely have a time advantage in their games. So every game, every round, it's gonna come down to the wire. Like every single game, even someone having a lead, like we saw, the time pressure can make some blunders, even for these top level grandmasters. So every game is worth fighting for to the very end.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So let's see. We're looking at this game between Gajik and Rahul. Yeah, very interesting imbalance here. We see that Black is having the bishop pair, but the bishops are not really operating to their full potential. White's having a nice bind on the d file. And both players are around 2 minutes. So I really feel like this game can go either way. What do you think, Joe?
I mean, definitely. Obviously, we're not quite at the time scramble moment yet, but I think that's what really is going to make or break and decide. But that being said, I see Yair Parkov maybe getting an advantage against Nicolosi, so maybe an early mistake here from Kacharava from Slew. So Queen C2, double exclam actually from Yair Parkov, looking to trade queens. And we see just a h6 from Nicolosi, kind of a waiting move. Saving the h-pawn, honestly. But now, why does it like white so much? What's the follow-up?
Yeah, white has this really nice move, knight takes b5, sacrificing the knight, because if you take it, white has bishop takes f6, attacking the queen on b5, and white simply goes up a pawn. So I think that could be a big problem for Nicolosi, and Parkov finds it. Wow.
Yeah, he's got back-to-back double brilliancies. just to win a pawn. So, I mean, literally every pawn is hard fought here. And Nicolosi, his time advantage is now going to disappear. And so did his B pawn. So, doubled pawns were weak. And now Parkov, he's going to look to push that advantage. And that could be a huge advancement for Dallas's lead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Every win here for Dallas will go a long way for them bring home the victory. One game I want to draw your attention to as well, Joe, is the game between Chopra and Samant. I mean, the position is very interesting, but also look at the clock. We see the Chopra has 2.5 minutes and Samant only 20 seconds. There's the increment, but that's a very dangerous spot for Samant, especially because Chopra is trying to cook up some sort of attack on the king side.
Yeah, and again, we see this white king is all of his pawns have been pushed up. So there's pros and cons, there's give and take, and there's a fine edge to be balanced between being aggressive and attacking, but also keeping your king safe. So when you have the kings castled on the same side of the board, it's hard to attack without sacrificing your own king safety. And right now, the computer says it's a fairly even position. Chopra does have a significant time advantage, and he is trying to attack this black king. But Samant Aditya, we've seen it before, even in time pressure and time scrambles, he's remained calm and has been able to get the job done, even in low time. But can he keep doing it? That's the question.
Right, knight e4, the computer is saying that's a mistake. Now I like knight e4, trying to go knight f6, and Chopra plays a massive pressure here for Samant simply because of the time. I think Chopra is going to win. The time difference is just too big in my opinion. That being said, he gets the queens up now. That should make it a bit easier to navigate at least.
Yeah, we see the dark square bishop is traded off, so that's further trying to weaken black's defenses, and it's white who has the dark square bishop. Now bishop to e5, or maybe even to d6 is possible. We see just h6. Chopra is just clamping down. He's like closing his jaws around his enemy's king.
Yeah, h6, love that move. Now the king on g8 is going to be permanently weak. Okay, traits, rook e1. Rook a7 has to be played. You cannot allow rook e7. I think then you're simply getting checkmated. Yeah, this is going to be a win for Chopra. I mean, you cannot play this. Okay, rook
He takes on
e7.
b2. He gets 2 pawns, but now the rooks are swarming.
Okay, king anywhere. Okay.
Can you give up that g pawn?
Right, but you don't have to. You could go king h4 and you
Oh
just
my
hang on to the
goodness.
pawn.
Nicolosi Kacharava wins against Yer
Oh wow,
by
that's a huge
flag.
comeback for what?
He flagged
How
him.
did he flag?
That's
Wait,
exactly
but
what Slew needed.
did he disconnect or something? Because he went from 44 seconds to 0. What happened there?
That
Or
might have been.
wow, that's a huge win for Slew. Absolutely heartbreaking for UTD. All right, so this is looking to be a big round for Slew. We see Chopra is just crushing Black's king. It's going to be checkmate in the next couple of moves.
Wow, and look at that move.
There.
Rook d7 is just beautifully brilliant. Hanging
Yeah,
both the
no,
rook and the bishop because he's threatening rook takes on f8, discovered double checkmate. And so black finally takes the bishop, the bigger threat, but he loses his rook, and he's going to lose the knight as well and the game, so he resigns. So this is a huge round for this Slew team, winning from Gajic, Chopra, Kacharava, and now it's down to that top board from Dallas, Gergely Cantor, who is beating Steve right now.
Yep, so we see Slew taking a lead for the moment, a 1-point lead, but it looks like Cantor is gonna tie it up here. I mean, he has a dominant position. Oh, rook takes c5. Oh, it's a massive blunder. Rook takes c5. And bishop takes h8. Steve. Okay, finds it. Wow, what a throw by Cantor.
Oh my goodness.
And now it's a draw.
It's a draw, but again, with perfect play, we see knight c7 from Contour. And yeah, I mean, Steve looks like he's going to secure the draw, but that's going to be a huge answer from from this SLU team to not only tie the match but take the lead now. Actually, they went from down 2 to up 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the big turnaround was that game between Parkov and Kacharava. Parkov had a massive advantage, but all of a sudden flagged, and then Kantor also failed to convert a winning position. So definitely a lucky round for SLU here, but also, yeah, due to some really good play by Chopra, Gajic, and now they take the lead.
Yeah, 1 point lead. So now both teams have had the lead. Obviously, Dallas was not able to hold on from round 1, but now can SLU hold on in the second half of this match? It's going back and forth. It is very close to being even, and SLU, as you said, maybe a little lucky because maybe a disconnect from Dallas. Definitely a blunder here from Contour. Oh my goodness, this is coming down to the wire.
Yeah, it is. All right, so we're halfway through with a 1 point lead for SLU. We have the pairings for round number 3. Gajic just started with 1e4 against Parkov, who also plays a Sicilian. Then we have Chopra, who started off with a Reti against Contour, and Steve is playing black against Samant, and oh, Nicolosi has started as well. So it's going to be an interesting round on all boards.
Yeah, I'm getting confirmation Yair Parkov's Wi-Fi cut out, but he seems to be back and stable now. So that is a costly mistake. And honestly, I think, who was I talking to? I feel like I was talking to one of the players. He was from a zoo that was playing from their hotel room. So you never know what situation these players are in at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, usually if you're playing at a hotel, I mean, it can be a little unstable, but if they're playing from their, dorm or apartment, you would think it's more stable. But yeah, anything can always happen, and that's really unfortunate for him. I'm sure that the SLU team does not mind. In the meantime, by the way, Steve is taking some serious risks with black against Samant, because look at this. After a mere 12 moves, the computer is giving a massive advantage for white, because white can just attack on the king side for free with queen g4, bishop h6. I'm sure that VAR is not going to be happy with this. VAR is going to see this and he's going to be like, Steve, what is this? Because, yeah, this does not look great for black. It's looking almost lost, actually.
Yeah, we see g6 pushed here for Steve, and this is just creating some Swiss cheese-like holes in the position. The bishop just jumping, pouncing at that h6 square, forcing the rook to the e-file, and now white just bringing both rooks in the middle. Black trying to trade off that dark square bishop.
Right. And I wonder if this is some preparation by Samant against Steve, because remember Steve had this exact same variation a couple weeks ago against Ijik, and now he repeats it. But Samant obviously is playing a much better fashion with the white pieces, and Steve is looking to be in big trouble here.
Yeah, we see the dark square bishops are traded. Steve takes back with the king, and now white's looking to bring some more attackers to the dark squares. The knight into e4, keeping an eye on the f6 square. And this knight on d5 is a very important defender of these dark squares, but it can get kicked with a move like c4. So we see Steve just trying to counteract that with b5, but maybe we can just go c4 anyways.
Yeah, you can c4. You can go c4 anyway, because if black takes, you can recapture the bishop. Then just trade off your bishop for the knight and plant that knight on f6, and that's going to give white a permanent attack against that black king on f8. So this is looking really tough for Steve. I mean, I'm sure he will try to hang on, but it's not looking great. And c4 played.
Yeah, Simon goes for it. Interestingly, the computer said the best move actually was knight f6 immediately, which is very aggressive. Probably there's some discovery issues along the d file. But we do see that knight gets traded and the knight does plant on f6. And honestly, I think Saman is like very close to mating. He could just bring his queen to any of these dark square diagonals. Trying to get to h6, of course, maybe there's king to g7. But if you play queen g5, king to g7, we just have knight takes on h5 with check. So Why is queen g5 not the best move? I guess it's the third best move. According to the
Yeah, queen
computer.
g5 looks, I mean, like I said, queen g5, queen f4, queen e3 all look
Wow.
very good.
He
I guess
finds queen
Steve,
f4.
right, I guess queen g5, maybe there was still like queen b4. You can be queen h6 with king e7, but this looks tough. King g7, still queen g5, and I don't see how you can defend against knight takes h5 check. c5, wow. He's aiming to run with the king to e7, but I don't think Steve will survive this.
Well, Steve is no stranger to king walks, apparently. But yeah, the king is gonna have no legal moves from e7. And that's always a recipe for disaster. And there's trades potentially on d5. Um, who knows what we're going to see out of Saman here? 3 minutes to figure out the best continuation forward. But apparently the best move, yeah, was b4, just hitting the queen. Saman does it another way, rook c1, asking the queen where she wants to go. She cannot go to e7. That is the last square that the king has to go to. And here it says, honestly, the threat is stronger than the execution. Sometimes queen h6 check is not the top move. It's saying, again, b4 or g4. G4, I think, is just a ridiculously wild move. I would be too scared to play that with a bishop on d5. But yeah, queen h6 still a very strong move nonetheless.
Right. Yeah, I'd be a bit surprised if we see g4. I honestly don't know. Well, I guess the idea might be like takes queen h6, king e7, and queen h4. If I'd had to take a guess, but it's a wild move. Like you said, you weaken your own king as well with that bishop on the long diagonal. And one thing Steve has going for him is that he's up on time. Okay, b4, queen b6 has to be played because you have to hang on to c7.
Yeah, so Steve is fighting for his life right now. Meanwhile, we do have some other games going on. I want to bring us to Viktor Gajic, who looks to be doing quite well against Yer Parkov.
Yep. No. So yeah, Steve might go down, but Victor looking good to equalize in this round, at least because he has some really annoying pressure on that d6 square. It's going to be really hard for Black to ever get d7, d6, and queen d3 hitting the pawn on h7. All right. So what if Black just goes g6? And he can actually do what is happening to Steve. He could trade on c6. And if Black recaptures, then maybe knight d2 to e4 and jump the knight into f6. We saw how effective that is in Steve's game.
Yeah, that would be a very nice transition for Viktor Gajic, just rerouting the knight into these dark square weaknesses that are created. There's always this give and take, right? White was having pressure on h7, black has to react, and by pushing these kingside pawns, you're creating these holes in the position. So Victor doesn't want to depart ways with the bishop pair just yet. Black has some developmental issues. This bishop on c8, not only has it not moved, it can't move. The b pawn nor the d pawn have moved at all for black, and because of that, the rook in the corner can't move. White's already connected their rooks and has a very firm grip on the d file, and that bishop on e4 is also just playing a really important part of why the b pawn for black can't move. So not trading that bishop, just keeping it on the board, and we're going to just keep piling on the pressure. Okay, now trading here. So yeah, I'm curious if White's gonna like maybe put something on d6, or like you said, bring the knight back to d2 into e4. And from there, you really have a good option of either f6 or d6. So yeah, it's a great position for Victor.
Yep, for sure. All right, so rook b8 hitting the pawn on b2, sorry, b3, discouraging Victor from playing knight e4 as that would hang the pawn. So maybe queen c2 or queen d3 first. So yeah, I think in this match or in this round, it's looking really good for Victor. Steve is probably gonna lose on board 4, and I think it's really gonna come down to the middle boards who is gonna take the lead in this match.
Yeah, I still want to keep an eye on Steve's game because he still has
Yo.
240. Saman has 18 seconds.
Yeah, so Amon here with a pre-move. Sorry, Saman. Queen g5, king f8. All right, just maybe make a move like h3, and it's really annoying for Steve that Saman always has that repetition in his pocket with queen g5, queen h6.
Yeah, I love that you called the H3 move, right? This the calm, like you're low on time. You need something to just build some time back because there is that increment, but Steve's in this. It's like, I mean, would you call it zugzwang? It basically like no move looks good.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a zugzwang. I mean, it's really hard to move here and not hang anything. And I think really given the fact that Samant always has queen h6 check, queen g5, he can get 3 or so seconds on the clock is definitely huge for him. That will help a lot. And 20 seconds is still quite a bit of time. He's not down in like 4 or 5 seconds, you know?
Yeah, plenty enough time for a grandmaster. But we haven't looked quite as much at like for example, Aryan Chopra and Gergely Cantor is a big matchup there. I'm so drawn to Saman with his time scrambles. But okay, let's take a quick look at the other games just to give an idea of how they're looking here.
Yeah. Oh, Chopra has that pawn on h6 once again. Okay, he's now parting ways with his bishop on d4. Queen a2 looks really nasty here. Yeah, that pawn on h6, do not underestimate it because it's going to create long-term problems around the black king on g8. I think Chopra's going to win this one. He also is up on time.
Yeah, he's up 30 seconds. There's a pin on the knight right now. The king has to leave his g8 home and now is still pinned to the knight. We see this capture, and man, this is potentially dangerous for Gergely Cantor, who we mentioned was going to be a huge part of this Dallas finals match. Again, this is UT Dallas's one major opportunity to become a Collegiate Chess League champion. They've never done it in their school's history. They have their new assistant coach, Mikhail Antipov, who is a former champion, and Chopra maybe making a mistake grabbing a6, but alleviating pressure on this knight.
Big miss there. I thought he should have traded on c8 followed by bishop d5, really hammering down on that pin on the knight. But still looking unpleasant for Cantor. I think his king is definitely the weaker one, which is definitely tricky to navigate in a time scramble. All right. Okay, rook d6. Oh, Chopra has kind of blundered into a draw here, letting Cantor off the hook. Yeah, I think it's going to be a draw.
Yeah, he's going to have to trade queens if he wants to avoid repetition.
Big miss here for Slew, but
but
they might still take the... Okay, so draw.
Yeah, Gajic is still pushing against Yer, but we also have Raul Petty, who's pushing against Nicolosi Kacharava, who's down to less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, this looks winning for Rahul. King b5, the a-pawn is going to be lost. White will have two connected passers, so this is going to be an easy win for Rahul. And I think with all of that, if all of that is said and done, Joe, I think we're going to be looking at an even match because Rahul will win for UTD. Saman just won for UTD as well. Victor won for Slew. So I think it's going to be all tied going into the final round.
Yeah, Samant won. Victor Gajic won. But here it looks like Dallas is going to bring it back with Nicolosi Kacharava down to 1 second. 2.8 seconds. Yep. It's a winning rook and pawn in game for white. They're queening. Black has one last pawn's hope, really, but white's going to just scoop that up.
Rook h1, stopping king h3. Yeah, this is as lost as it can be. All right, so there's going to be a win for Rahul, which means that it's going to be all tied up going into the final round.
Yeah, and we see resignation there. So, wow. Dallas, they answer right back, and we're right back where we started. No team has a lead, but there is going to be at least one more round, the fourth round, potentially the final round, if one of these teams can break the tie. But if things remain all tied up at 6 points each, we're actually going to go to overtime, which is going to be 3+2 blitz, and if it's still tied, they're actually going to go to 1+2, which, I mean, it's probably still blitz. I feel like it's technically a bullet time control, but the 2-second increment is definitely a lot for bullet.
Right. Are you sure it's 1+2 now 1+1?
Yeah, it's still the 2-second increments, but we might not get there, so we still have to see what happens. We have the 4th round starting here. It's a big one. We've got Viktor Gajic up against Gergely Cantor. Wait.
Yep. No, this is huge. And yeah, I don't know if you remember, Joe, but in the CCL, I believe it was like 2 years ago when we played UTD, I believe the match went to triple overtime. You remember that?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some crazy stuff before. Triple OT is definitely a big one. I don't know if we'll see that again today, but yeah, it's all going to come down to this. I mean, the teams have been trading. Like Dallas had a strong start, slew with perhaps a lucky round 2, and Dallas answering back. So Dallas, they honestly probably should be in the lead already, but they have to win this fair and square with the results that they're getting. I think that they like their chances, but also they weren't able to put Slew away early. Slew's remained in this, and this could be their opportunity to clinch the match and defend their title.
Yep. Yeah, and I think definitely a big missed opportunity by Chopra. He could have won that game, and that would have given Slew the lead going into the final round. It doesn't make a huge difference, but I think it is nice having the lead. Then it might put a little bit more pressure on your opponents. All right, so let's see what is happening here. If we take a quick look around the horn, we see that Kantor perhaps is having a slight advantage against Gajik, but doesn't say a whole lot. Samant against Nicolosi, perhaps Nicolosi having a slight advantage there. Then Chopra, I kind of like his chances against Parkov. And then Steve, yeah, Steve is just going for his typical setup, his system. So I don't know, Joe. To me, it still looks like anything can happen in this round.
This is the Steve system.
This is the Steve system. Yep.
The bishop on a. So trading the a file rooks. Okay, yeah. I mean, Steve's been doing well, and he's been surprising a lot of these players in this top division as a international master on board 4, which for like any team in the league would be really strong. But in Division 1, he's been the only international master. But he's proven his spot. Only 1 point for him actually so far. But he's putting a lot of pressure in the center on e5, particularly Black defends here. So we'll see. Steve could play a huge part in this 4th and potentially final round.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so Queen e7 play by Rahul. Now I think Rook a1 makes a lot of sense. Yep, and there we go. Grabbing the only open file on the board. Now, one thing that both players will definitely be looking at, Joe, is the move d5, d4. I don't think it works here because white takes and then recaptures with the knight. Protecting the bishop on e2, but it's definitely going to be a tactical motif that both players will be on the lookout for.
Yeah, they always have to be on their toes, always constantly aware of where the tactics are, where the pawn breaks are, and d4 is definitely one of the pawn pushes for Raul because they want to open up that e-file. And notice the dark square bishop for Steve actually has no moves, so that could be a potential tactic for Black. But as you said, it looks like Tianki has it under control with knight takes d4 at the end, just saving everything. So Black might have to try to find a way to combat that.
Yeah. All right, so let's see what's happening. I kind of like Steve's chances here. He might have a very slight advantage, and as we so often see, he's up on the clock. Another board that's looking pretty good to Slew, in my opinion, is the game between Parkov and Chopra. We see Chopra up almost 2 minutes on the clock, and having a slight advantage perhaps with the black pieces.
Yeah, definitely looks very comfortable there. Castle king side for both sides. Bishop back on f8, always a very strong defensive piece. And pawn duo in the center, just applying pressure, keeping an eye on some key squares. And this bishop retreating move, not only is it defensive, but it's also aggressive because it's opening up the rook on the e-file opposite of white's queen. So pressure on this e-pawn White does have their rooks connected, but they haven't moved either of them into the center. Whereas black has the nice rook on e8, but still some work that needs to be done. And wow, this is actually looking like a blunder from Parkov. Knight takes on d5, and I have to figure out what the idea is because I thought this e pawn was pinned. So what's the idea after knight takes on d5?
Right, I guess he's aiming for queen g4, because queen g4 would threaten not only the g7 pawn, but also knight h6 check. You would have to step to h8 and then knight takes f7. But I assume there's got to be a move for Chopra. He's taken on d5. Queen g4 is going to be played now. Note, by the way, the knight h6 right away. Yeah, queen g4 on the board, and g6 instantly by Chopra. And I think if you take the knight now, then something like knight e5, and you're all of a sudden in a very nasty pin. You're not on the 5, that is. So it's looking really good for Chopra here. He's up 2 minutes on the clock with potentially winning position.
Wow, so Yer Parkov maybe playing that move a little too fast, which is unfortunate because they're also down on time. So maybe a little too fancy here, and as you called it, 95. And if you take, there's going to be rook takes back, applying even more pressure on this knight, which is pinned. So even though the queen is on the g file opposite the king, pinning the g pawn, it's also opposite the bishop, as you pointed out. So this is quite the dilemma now for Parkov.
Yeah, I think he's simply losing, and that'll be a huge win for Slu if Chopra wins this one with the black pieces. That's going to go a long way for them clinching the match. And again, Parkov down to a minute. So I think Chopra is simply going to win this one.
Yeah, that's actually looking really good for Slu, but there are more games to be had here, and I want to bring us to Gergely Cantor versus Victor Gajic. Cantor, he's the top board for Dallas. He is up on time. Position, though, still relatively even, but I do have to give some credit to the bishop pair against the two knights. But in Gajic's favor, this position is fairly closed. So knights are typically favored in the closed positions, but maybe Cantor has some tricks up his sleeve to open things up.
Yeah, well, we'll see what's going to happen. Yeah, so like I said, White has more space. White has the bishop pair, but the position fairly close, so not easy at all to make use of those bishops. And now Gajic trying to create some problems. Okay, bishop e2, queen a4, only move. Nothing to think about, really. Yeah, the only square. Okay, so let's see. I mean, I'm sure that at some point Contour is going to be looking to go c5. So let's see what. I mean, I don't know if they are aware of what's happening in the match, but if he sees that his teammate is losing, he knows he has to push for the win, and he cannot take a repetition with a move like bishop e3. All right. Chopra is, by the way, clinching it because Sparkov down to 15 seconds. Also, by the way, Steve is completely winning on board number 4. He's up a full exchange, Joe. That's huge.
Yeah, last we looked at Steve's position, we were liking it, and he's definitely converting this advantage here. He picked up a fork with his rook to pick up an exchange. So he's up an exchange. He's feeling very good here with the white pieces and up on time. This is looking tremendously like it's gonna clinch the match for Slu if Dallas can't respond on the other two boards.
Yeah, not over yet though. But yeah, looking really good for Steve, looking really good for Chopra. Let's see what's going on the other boards. All right, so Nicolosi's game fairly even, but he is having quite a significant time advantage with Saman going down to 36 seconds. And then, yeah, on Gajic's board, it's pretty much where we left off. Like slight advantage for White, but really difficult to prove.
Yeah, I think this Nicolosi game might be very important. I mean, Saman, he's been playing so strong, but he's got 20 seconds. He seems to always be in some time scramble pressure.
Yeah, knight g7, holding everything on the king side, but really passive. Perhaps White can just play f2, f3, so that if black takes, you can always recapture, and then knight on g7 remains passive on that g7 square. And yeah, it would look really good for Nicolosi, because he also has the open file, rook c5. I don't like that move. And now he's allowing a necessary counterplay because d4 is very weak. Right, that's what UTD needs if they want to get a comeback. It could go to overtime, Joe. It very well could. I mean, it's a must-win game for Saman. It's a must-win game for Contour, but they have advantages.
I would be surprised if it goes to overtime, just because Slew would only need a half point between Gajic and Kacharava, and Kacharava is such a strong time advantage over a minute on the clock. But like you said, Slew still has to clinch out. And I mean, even these other games, like you could see a miracle. No, okay, so Chopra wins by resignation,
Yeah.
so no miracle there. Parkov throws in the towel. And he's just gonna have to remain on the sideline watching his teammates, hoping that they can sort of bring it back for him to play again in overtime. Oh my god! And we might see Kacharava blunder here. He blunders the D pawn and
the G pawn now as well
with check, and the H pawn is hanging.
Not easy. It's not easy, Joe, because if you take an H4, I think white can take and then like check.
There's only one move.
So
it's knight F5.
Tricks.
Wow,
he blundered. Oh, take the queen c5. That's a huge turnaround. That's the match. That's the match.
My god. Will Nicolosi find it with a minute? Surely. I mean, it's just rook takes. So.
And queen c5 the clincher, because then black can never block with 98.
Yeah,
I think he will find it.
Samant in time pressure, less than 10 seconds, unable to find the only winning move, which was knight to f5, clearing space for the black king and also attacking the king with even more pieces. Instead, he just takes on h4, and now for the moment of truth, it's queen c5 or knight h7 check.
Yeah, that's a nice thing for Nicolosi. He's got two winning moves. If he plays queen c8 and Slew ends up losing, then Navarro's going to make him push-ups for the rest of the week. But I think he'll find one of those two.
Yeah, he's got 20 seconds.
Come on, Nicolosi.
Sometimes when you have two winning moves, it's hard because you have to figure out. He finds knight h7.
Okay. Right.
And this is just crushing. Black...
It is, yeah. Okay, king e8, check. Queen c7, yeah, queen c7, that's it.
Queen c7.
And knight f6, and you have to give up the queen.
GG.
That's the match.
Resigns.
Wow, big win for Nicolosi. What a turnaround.
We still have Steve. Steve has to close this out.
Right, but Slew only needs to draw now. Only needs to draw.
Exactly.
Steve is completely winning.
So Slew will defend their title barring disaster. Can Steve, the captain, the board 4 international master, close it out against UT Dallas with a win or a draw?
Yep. I think he will. I mean, even blundering into a draw here would feel devastating. So I think he's going to get the win. Rook h8 looks okay. Everything is winning. Rook takes f7 and bishop c4 is pretty effective. Or bishop c... Oh, bishop g7. Not over yet. Bishop g7, only move.
Less than 10 seconds for you. Yeah, finds it.
This is actually
the bishop has to come back to you now. Too. Wait. Victor Gajic's crushing though. Oh, he blundered.
Oh, wait. But Steve has a draw. Steve has a draw to clinch the match. And he's going to make it. Yeah, queen e8. All right,
Does
so
he know?
Gajic lost.
Well, Gajic is in the process of losing. Gajic's about to lose.
Okay, so all Steve has to do is give a perpetual here, but it's a really easy one, so I don't think he will.
The question is, does he know? Okay, he knows. Steve, as team captain, of course he knows. He's able to get the draw, and that clinches the championship for St. Louis University again. Back-to-back seasons, and Dallas, they're going to have to try to get their championship in another season, but they came so close. This was a very close match, the closest of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. This one went really down to the wire. I mean, we saw UTD taking the lead in the first round, 3-1, but Slew responded really well.
And Gergely Cantor, he finishes with a win here, but it is just a point shy for UT Dallas. They go down by the narrowest of margins. Slew winning the Division I finals, 8.5 to 7.5. Congratulations to St. Louis University.
Yeah, big congrats to the team. And yeah, they did very well. Like I said, the first round was tough, but then they really showed up.
Yeah, they definitely faced some adversity, being down 3-1 in that first round, and yet they didn't give up. They had full faith and confidence in themselves, and they brought it back, and they closed it out there with a narrow win, that narrowest of margins, 1 point lead in the final round. But don't go away just yet. We will be bringing on one of the SLU players for a player interview, so please stick around. We will be right back. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have a champion here to interview, the St. Louis Board 3, Nicolosi. You guys just had a very, very narrow margin of a win against UT Dallas. You guys were actually losing after that first round 3-1. How nervous were you after that point?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, it was very tough match. I'm gonna be honest. After first round, we were losing 3-1. Okay, I knew that we could come back, but I was getting a little bit nervous because, okay, 2 points is already a big lead for them. And yeah, yeah.
You guys also kept your composure, and you brought it back after that second round, maybe getting a little lucky on some of the games. I think your Parkov from Dallas had a Wi-Fi disconnect or something. So that definitely was in your favor. And then you guys were tied after round 3, and then you ended up winning in that final round. So walk us through maybe some of your games. Was there any
Of
game in
course.
particular that stood
Yeah.
out to you?
Okay, in the first game, I had a little advantage, but at first I decided to, okay, draw should be good. But then when I saw that we were losing 3-1, okay, I knew that I had to play more aggressively. As you said, in the second round, I was very lucky. I kind of feel sad for Parhov because, I always prefer to win in chess, and this was just Wi-Fi problem. Do you remember in the previous interview when I mentioned our players' laptop problem, and that I said maybe hopefully luck is on our side this final. So that was like that. And then yeah, third game. After third game, yeah, I didn't play well at all. I had equal end game, I think. No problem, and somehow I managed to let his king slide into my pawns, and then he just won very easily. And the fourth round was the most nervous, most exciting. It was tied, as you said, 6-6. So I knew that my game would be maybe decisive. And at some point it was like equal position, and I knew that I had to risk, so I played these moves like g4. He did not take on d4 if you looked at the game, but if he took, it was very unclear. But okay, I thought whatever, I will risk. If the luck is on my side, I will win. But luckily he did not take, because I think he should have taken. And then slowly I pressed, and in the last moment there were like a ton of winning. I could win like in ton of ways, but I was still nervous. I didn't want to let him slide. So I thought like 1 minute or whatever. I calculated everything, and then it was really, really a roller coaster.
Yeah, your game actually was losing after you played queen to c2 because you dropped the
It was losing.
Yeah, queen takes d4, followed by queen takes g4. There's one move that Samant Aditya missed that they needed to
Wait.
play.
So 98?
No. After queen takes g4 check, king f1, black has
Yeah.
one move.
Oh, knight f5 maybe?
Yes, knight f5.
Knight f5, yeah. Okay.
Knight f5 is winning for black, so that was a missed opportunity for Dallas for sure.
Okay, yeah, his king is safe. And before I threaten something, he has this queen d1 check.
Yeah.
And then takes an h4, and okay, I'm losing. Oh, I got so lucky. That's why I said I took a risk. I knew that I might be losing, but yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily.
Well, I guess the reward goes to those who risk it, and you risked it,
Yeah.
and your opponent was in severe time pressure, so you did very well to stay up.
That was one other factor. Like I was hoping that he would not find the defensive line, and the risk was good taken.
So they blundered. They took the h4 pawn, attacking your knight and maybe threatening queen h1 check, but of course your checks were too powerful. So takes, and now obviously here you actually have a couple of options.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, first I had a lot of time, right? First I was calculating rook f8, so king f8, knight h7, and if you go king j8, it's like knight f6 mate. If you go king e7, I'm giving checks and win like I won. And on king e8, I thought on queen c8 he just has queen d8 and he protects. At first, so there of course knight f6 and queen c5 wins, but at first I didn't see it. Then I thought maybe I should win different ways. I calculated queen c5 instead of knight h7. But he also had something, the knight h7, king e8, maybe knight f6 first, but he was defending, and then after like I had 20 seconds left, I saw this knight f6, queen c5. And then it's hopeless position for black.
So the moral of the story is obviously the game and the match itself were extremely close, and it honestly could have gone either way. Obviously you took a risk. You even were in a losing position potentially, but the time advantage and the speed and all of this combined led to the blunders that ended up allowing you to win not only your game but just the entire match for St. Louis University. You went 2.5 out of 4. And obviously you also had a big match last week against Mizzou. So now that the season is done and you guys have won, how does it feel?
I'm very relieved, and very happy. But like after celebration, we will probably go to training hall now, where we'll bring some pizzas. We will have a good celebration. After that, we will focus on Pan Americans, which takes place in Chicago in January, classics. So we will start. We will try to improve on our mistakes and give our best shots there.
Of course. So I'm glad to hear the pizza tradition for celebration is still alive. And yes, congratulations to you, your team.
Everybody loves pizza.
Yes, to your captains and your coaches. I know VAR will be happy. And of course, as you'd mentioned, the job is not done because you still have more college chess with Pan Ams coming up in January in Chicago. So congratulations once again to you and your team. Do you have anything you'd like to say to your teammates and your coaches? Any fans?
Yes, I want to thank them for being so great. If it was not for them, of course, my 2.5 would not be even close to anything. All of us got nice points, and in the end, the team performed well. It was not like one player played great. coaches were always with us. Dariusz, they were playing with us to practice, and I like this in St. Louis because everyone tries to do their best to contribute to success.
That's awesome. You were definitely a big part of that success. Of course,
Thank you.
very important. Every point from every player on the Salute team was important because you guys won by a 1-point margin. So it was definitely a team effort, and you guys have proved yet again that St. Louis University is the best college chess team in the Collegiate Chess League, winning the Division I finals. So congratulations to you and your team on a amazing season, and I will let you get going and celebrate your victory. So congrats.
Thank you.
And yeah, hopefully to see you back again, defend your championship title next season.
Yes, I'm looking forward to next season as well. It's very exciting, this CCL. I really enjoy it.
Love that. Thank you so much, Nicolosi, and I will wish you farewell and congrats again.
Thank you very much. You as well. Happy Thanksgiving.
Awesome. Well, that was Nicolosi Kacharava, the board 3 from St. Louis University, winning the match with 2.5 points in that last round, getting a huge win against Samant Aditya. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll send you all off on a raid. I will be back again tomorrow with a lower division finals match. So D1 is concluded, but the lower divisions are still going. In fact, I will be joined by none other than Eskia, the handsome Turkish streamer from the Netherlands, who I had the pleasure of meeting. And there are potential Turkish games to be had to watch on stream. So stay tuned for tomorrow. I do see Eskia in the chat, so thank you, Eskia, for being here. Shout out to Eskia. And yeah, stick around for the raid. I will see you all hopefully tomorrow. So thanks again, and yeah, congrats again to St. Louis University on their championship. I will see you all later. Take care.